Paintball! We're back with another episode of You're Already Accepted,
a community rewatch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's us. It's the crew. It's Ethan. It's Christian.
Howdy, partners.
It's Jonathan. And we're back with a special episode, a very special, a wickedly talented episode of You're Already Accepted Community Rewatch, where we're looking at the first Paintball episode.
It's theatrical dynamite.
And it culturally is acceptable as well. Actually, well, with the gun debate, maybe not, but
it raises questions. That's what the show does.
really makes you think.
I'm just asking questions out here, bro.
Working on his mind. So this is episode 23 of season 1. It
23.
is Modern Warfare. So yeah, little recap. Little recap of the episode. Russo Brothers directed it, right? First Russo Brothers.
No. This is not the Russo Brothers.
Oh, so it was a good episode before the Russo Brothers.
Yeah.
Sandwiched in between, the kids scene movie,
Schmitty.
and then the season finale, which we'll get to later. But the dean makes an announcement that towards the end of the year, there's going to be this sort of spring formal and also a paintball contest where the winner gets a prize. First, it's a Blu-ray player, but the Blu-ray player gets stolen. So Jeff goes and takes a nap and wakes up, and he finds out that the prize is priority registration, so he can take whatever classes he wants first. And so that sends Greendale into a frenzy of basically every man for himself. Post kind of like Mad Max, honestly, post-apocalyptic,
A little bit,
but with paintball. And so then this is sort of the side plot with that is that Jeff and Britta have so much sexual tension that it's rubbing up against. No, never mind. They're already
10 push-ups.
10 push-ups. They have a lot of sexual tension, so they are arguing back and forth, and it's affecting the whole group, and they're getting all mad at each other. So they have to work through that throughout the episode as well. But that's a little bit of the episode. Jeff does win at the end.
Yeah,
but he gives the priority registration to Shirley, so that way she can be with her boys. But if anybody asks, she has gout next semester because legally they can't. For legal reasons, that's a joke.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking of the sexual tension part of it. This is, and I'll cut this if you don't like it. So, but it reminds me of when I first saw Ethan and Kayla really connect, because we were playing. We were in Omaha playing mini golf, and you guys were just John back at you're gonna make that. You're probably not. You guys were just being so cute together, and I was there's something here.
You heard wedding bells.
Yeah, I already did. It was beautiful.
I think that says a lot about where I'm at in my dating life, that whenever you said that, I got really cynical. Not for Ethan and Kayla, but just I feel like in my dating history, that's kind of how it is somebody starts making fun of you and you start making fun of them, and you're oh, this might go somewhere, and then you find out oh no, they were actually just making fun of me. Well, the worst thing is whenever they do it, and then the next time you see them, they're not doing it, and you're
yeah.
Dang it.
Oh, hey, Christian, how are you? Oh,
it's so great to see you. How are you today? I'm
are you
spit my
being aggressive? Or
I would rather you take a tire iron to my windshield, or a keytar to my windshield.
Are you saying keytar or
guitar like a
guitar
like a hillbilly? Guitar, play like a guitar. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yep. So we're gonna start classically with our A+ stuff. Again, this is probably the most legendary episode of the entire show. I feel like it's the episode that kind of has the most cultural reach, in the sense of the most casual community people probably know this episode.
Right.
Even non-community watchers, I've heard reference this episode. So yeah, for me, the first thing I noticed was just how nice this episode looked. It looks a lot more cinematic.
Stylistically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The shots, I'm so where's the budget been all this season? Low key, because on Netflix, you know how Netflix kind of does the halfway annoying thing where it'll preview the show or the movie before. If you just leave it on.
Yeah.
On the actual thing.
Yeah, the banner.
It was preview it, and so it previews the pilot. And I watched a little bit of that after I watched this episode. And I was
God, this is garbage.
Gross.
It's the same season too. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like it's 3 seasons later.
Yeah.
This episode feels like it was embedded into season 1 of Community. It doesn't feel.
Yeah.
I mean,
we
they
added it in later.
Yeah. When we talked last week about American Poultry. That was probably the first Community episode that felt like Community, or one of them. and then you have this episode. But again, this is right after you had Schmitty.
Exactly. Another like little thing, because I've only gone paintballing once, but I just loved like the slight sting of paintball shot. So it's like
You like that?
Like, well, in the sense of
He's a
like,
masochist.
yeah. Just
Wait, is it which one is masochist? Do you like stuff done to you, or you like doing stuff to people? I can't remember.
I think it's
Pause.
done.
Pause.
Yeah. like
According to Urban
do stuff to your butt. But no, I was just thinking in the sense of like how they acted that out. Like when Starburns got shot, it was like ow, ow, like like, and obviously sometimes when like people get shot in this, like it's like they dramatize it, like I died, But like when
no full auto in buildings.
when the chess club gets shot, they're just like slight sting. I just love
tell the drama team their tears are real this time.
Yeah.
I hear like horror stories of people who like there's like a freak, their goggles slipping up so they get shot in the eye. I'm like, man, like what do you do after that? Like you wear an eye patch and everyone's like, oh, what happened? You're like, I went paintballing. I got shot.
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't be as bad as Nick Fury getting his eye scratched out by Captain Marvel's cat.
I know.
But
the last person last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. Yeah. Look at the little, you mother. Oh, goodness. But yeah, let's just go around A+ stuff. What do you guys got?
Honestly, this episode, there's just so much. That's sort of the cop out, like, I can't give one good A+. I did watch the episode and I rewatched it before we recorded. But I agree, like cinematically, the episode just looks good. I like how all the actors take it seriously, and I think that adds to the the drama.
Actually, let me add something to that too. As I was watching, that was like the first time for me that like Joel McHale and Gillian Jacobs especially, but really the whole cast, they felt like movie stars.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like when Brad Pitt shows up in
Deadpool
that
2.
Friends episode, like it's different. You know what I mean? Like what you say?
I said Deadpool 2. He shows up as the Vanisher for half a second.
Yeah. but yeah, like in that moment, I was like, oh, Jeff McHale, like because there is a gap between movie stars and TV stars, like
right,
and
they call it the small screen for a reason. Right.
And so at the end of the day, but like sorry, but
I said what I said. I just
there's a
there's
a difference between BoJack Horseman and horsing around versus BoJack Horseman and Secretary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's ultimately like in that moment, I was like, I bought them as like movie stars in this context. Like,
all right, when are we going to see you in the MCU? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where's Joel in the MCU? Come on,
on, man.
Make him Namor or something like that.
Is he the only one that we haven't gotten? We talked about this before.
Yeah.
I think Allison Brie hasn't been in.
Allison Brie and Gillian
Jacobs,
Jacobs and Pierce.
Yeah.
But Ken Jeong is in there too.
Yeah, he's in Ant-Man, right?
Yeah, he's the person or the security guard.
He's in Avengers because he's the
Endgame.
security guard.
Yeah.
Which like, dang, you even give him a line on that one? Like,
I think that almost makes it funnier.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a line though.
Yep.
You're like,
fair.
I think that's Ken Jeong, but he didn't say anything.
It's just like he's wearing a fake mustache, like Ken Jeong, Mr. Jeong.
Mr. Jeong. Yeah. No, I just love. I first of all, I appreciate the framing device of the study room for basically every episode. Like, I mean, obviously there's episodes where they're walking to class or they're somewhere, but like, I think about how in The Simpsons, like if you like stream it on Disney Plus and you watch so many episodes back to back, like first of all, you kill brain cells doing that, but like every episode,
season 8 at least,
it's kind of fun because like whatever situation they find themselves in at the beginning of the episode, it never correlates to what the episode is. It's like it's kind of fun in The Simpsons to see how they get to the main plot from like they're in the Church of Springfield, and then they walk out of the parking lot and one of them hits Fat Tony, and so they have the whole like gangster plot. Like in Community, it's pretty straightforward. Like the study room, there's always a lot of good dialogue. There's always something funny, and in this episode, Jeff like walks out the door. And he turns around, like just stands there with his arms folded. And Troy's like, "What are you waiting for?" And Disco Stu like comes in and hits it and falls down. And it cuts to the opening credits. I'm like, that is just cinematic masterpiece. It's funny. I don't know. And then Pierce has a lot of little zingers and especially in this scene, he's like, just poker and move on. That's what they did back in my day.
Yeah.
And then Jeff is like, well, back in your day, they filled blimps with hydrogen, and that was bad. You know, like
that was bad.
the Hindenburg in the 1930s. You know,
Well, then right after that, we get the there is no Britta and Jeff.
he said fully erect.
Yeah.
And then and then there's one that's kind of like that goes unappreciated. It's the Dean walks in and Pierce is like, he makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm still in the room.
Yeah.
And there's honestly like there are very few like interactions between the Dean and Pierce directly, but they're always really good. Like I think about the Cookie Crisp Wizard episode where he, you know, Pierce is trying to like stab him with his wand or whatever.
Is he having a stroke?
Is he having a stroke? But yeah, I really, like you were saying, I really appreciate the performances that they dedicate to this. Like there's the scene where, you know, Abed saves Jeff from Leonard. Everybody's playing. And then Abed just looks at him real serious, is like, you know, come with me, you know, if you don't want paint on your clothes.
Yeah.
And they walk in and, you know, he's like, to make sure that Troy doesn't shoot them.
Yeah.
The Jeff Winger, you son of a, I thought you were dead. And then, you know, easy sugar bear. Talk him through the hunger, Abed. Like, I don't know. Again, they fully commit to it. It's not even like a wink to the camera of like, wow, folks, isn't this funny that we're playing paintball? It's like,
look at how quirky.
Look at how quirky it is. Yeah, I really like that. Shirley's whole, you know, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
Yeah.
And like in every, you know, I think about like the Magnificent Seven or Saving Private Ryan. Like the religious character in action movies is like a trope.
Yeah.
You know, and then she gets shot right after that, and that's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you notice that there's kind of a weird edit to that? Because like I expected her to have a whole scene where she was like spinning around and shooting people, but she says that, and then she immediately gets shot in the back, and then it just cuts to like Disco Stew like jumping over.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too.
Yeah, and it's like I don't. It's not a bad thing because it's like, oh, like was I like it almost makes you double take like, oh, did Shirley just get shot?
Yeah,
but
it's kind of I kind of almost wish with that. Because you're right, you just barely catch a glimpse of it, and like unless you go back, you don't realize it till later. Like when she's laying on the ground, oh, she actually got shot. I kind of wish they would do because they do that whole double fake with Abed, where like, oh, they almost got me, and then you look down at his legs, and then like, oh, he thought he got killed or he thought he survived, but he actually got shot. I kind of wish they do that with Shirley instead because you don't really see her get shot. So that'd be kind of like the reveal of like, oh, you thought Shirley survived, but if you actually went back and look, you actually see she got shot in the back and she's done.
Because then it would also be like a whole like religious thing of like, oh, well, I thought the Lord would protect me, but he didn't. But yeah, there is that whole, like, is everybody okay? It looks like they didn't shoot any of us. And then I look down and there's a slow, like, red, bleeding, like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. Like, he's got his little waiter friend and his waiter friend gets shot. Yeah, it's a sad time. Nobody liked that movie. Well, I didn't. So, and that's the opinion that matters.
And that's the bottom line.
Because Christian said so. Yeah, I mean, again, this is a good episode. I won't steal all the A+ stuff. Ethan, what do you have for?
Well, I want to share because I wrote a lot down, so I don't want to hog the show. I mean, you guys feel if you want to jump into some, but I mean, the very first scene we get of the study group in the study room, it's such a simple like setup. It just seems so innocent. It's just them talking about. I don't remember what they're talking about at first. I guess it shows Britta and Jeff walking first, and they're talking about. And then Disco Stew goes by them and they're arguing about something.
What it is, brother?
Yeah. And then they go into the study room and they're talking about the sexual tension. And it's such a weird, like, such a calm start to the show. And obviously you have the credits in there. And then it goes to like Jeff in the car, which is like a completely different feeling of the show. Like it's more like a dark post-apocalyptic movie
like
types.
Whenever a movie is set in Mexico and they tint everything yellow, he wakes up. That's what it is.
Yeah, honestly.
Amarillo.
But I think that having that such a calm and like I feel like any other show that was trying to do this like weird trope type episode, they would have just jumped into the paintball right away. And Community sets it up so well where there's just this. At first, it's this simple like, oh yeah, there's a spring fling, there's a special prize, and by now we know the Dean's kind of a doofus, so the prize is probably lame. He says it's a Blu-ray DVD player, so like that's kind of a lame prize. Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool, but
maybe back in 2009 it was pretty cool.
It was cool back then. It's still kind of cool.
Back in my day.
Back in my day,
but like, it's such an innocent start to it that you really don't expect what's going to happen right after the credits, and all of a sudden, then you're in it.
And it's something that they repeat in the second paintball episode, where it's like you start learning about what happened through flashbacks. Like it's that episode starts with Annie in the hallway, like with paintball. So it's, they kind of,
and then it goes back because it's like another barbecue type thing. And so that's what I love about these episodes is that the way they set it up is they could really do it poorly where they just jump right into the paintball and try to explain it through them talking throughout. But with this, in this case, they kind of hit you with like, oh, this is just going to be a boring episode about Jeff and Britta, having sexual tension, and then maybe some kind of B plot with like Troy and Abed. But then like all of a sudden after the credits, we're literally in like a mini movie within Greendale. And it's just so awesome the way it starts off. But yeah, in that first scene with before the beginning credits, we talked about some of the Pierce singers in there. I did laugh too with the line where Shirley says something about, "Oh, you're like Sam and Diane. I hated Sam and Diane." And then he's like, "Who's Sam and Diane? We get it. You're young.
Yeah.
Sorry." It just they're kind of like making fun of the like Annie has a one joke kind of, but yeah, I liked that line.
Also, Frasier is better than Cheers. I'm just saying that out loud.
Oh,
yeah, 100%,
1,000%, right?
Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah. What like I remember thinking about, because you're talking about like the opening and how it flipped from like regular episode of Community, to like full on
Mad Max
war. Yeah. I remember. I even love like the color tinting because like the beginning like 2 minutes it looks nicer than other episodes, but it just like looks nicer. It's like, okay, they just got a new budget, cool, like awesome. And then like when they get into like the actual paintball stuff, the way the camera shoots like works differently. Like the color tinting's like a little bit like grainy.
It's almost like there's a whenever the chess player runs in and there's like, oh, he's just a pawn. Like it's a handheld shot and like it's sort of like out of focus and they're like moving around. Like I like that. It's a very homegrown sort of feel to it. Yeah.
It definitely gives a very like zombie movie type where it's kind of a horror
gritty
movie.
And down to earth.
Yeah, suspenseful. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of suspense. And I mean, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about with what we liked about this episode. But yeah, the cinematography in this episode is maybe it's like some of the best of any TV show I've ever seen, maybe even better than a lot of movies. So like it's just fantastic filming and shooting. We can talk about that a little bit later too, but I love the interaction with Garrett at the very beginning when Jeff walks in and Garrett's like, we turned on each other like animals. Yeah. And I love Garrett. He's such an underrated side character, and it's just he's so dramatic in that moment where it's like he makes it sound like they're literally killing, like they're literally killing each other.
This is not over.
Yeah,
this is happening right now.
And everything Garrett says always just is like the most dramatic, which is the joke. Like that's how he's just so dramatic and how he says stuff that's so mundane, really. But in this,
pencil,
that's a great use of his character. I feel like because he's obviously
is that the first time that we see him?
No, I mean, think we've seen him a couple of times because he ran for
class president.
Yeah,
man, that was a long time ago.
President, whatever. That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
he was in the Professor Duncan episode where like they.
Experiment. Oh, the Duncan principle.
The Duncan principle.
Go kill John Lennon again, you loser.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't sound like his name. Like I know his character's name is Garrett, but I feel like it should be like Gerald or something. You know?
Yeah, it's not really. It's not a very nerdy name. Really,
it just doesn't sound right. Like you said it, and I was like, is that his actual name? Is it Garth? Is it
Gary Garvin?
Oh gosh.
Pierce shooting Starburns in the back. We already talked about like him shooting a point blank. But just not if I can be with you, and like shoots him in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm wearing a diaper for the game. yeah. For the game. That whole scene is just gold.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and then going into the bathroom scene, which I think is again great filming, great cinematography.
And one thing I appreciate is that Jeff checks the floor of the stall, and at first it's like, oh, that's a goof because they're in the stalls, but he does check to make sure they're safe and they're hiding, because then you see their feet.
They're standing on their couch. Yeah. Which I tried to look. Because I remember that. I was trying to see if I could see like their heads, because it kind of has like an overhead shot when they get in there, and they must be crouching really well or something,
or they're not in the stalls until
discontinuity.
But yeah, it's and I like the whole Abed looks and the paint starts to slowly drip down.
Okay, that's a reference to. I know I've seen that in a movie before, where like the blood. I mean, is that just a trope in like a lot of movies?
I mean,
was that an Alien? One of the Alien movies, or maybe I know I've seen that in like a really famous movie that made it popular. I think everything else kind of ripped it off, but
whenever Abed looks and sees the cut, like the silhouette of the guy peeing. First of all, it's funny that the guy's arms are in because it looks like he's. But then he looks over and sees Troy, and there's one there. It reminded me of, this is dumb, the scene in the Jonah movie whenever they're about to get slapped by the fishes and they're tied to those posts, and they wake up and he looks over at them and they're like, what is it? And there's like the fish above them. Do you remember that?
You're talking about the VeggieTales Jonah movie.
The VeggieTales Jonah movie.
Oh,
yeah.
We should clarify for Jonathan and listeners.
Yeah, I thought that there's only one Jonah movie, but do you remember that scene?
never seen it.
You've never seen it?
I'm if I have, it's been.
All right. Well, you're the surrogate audience member. So anyway,
wait, what?
What? But okay, well,
like Jonah from the Bible.
Like Jonah from the Bible.
No, that's a excellent, very very random reference, but I definitely, yeah.
If you've seen it, it makes sense. If you
Yeah.
haven't, you're like, man, what is this idiot talking about? That's my whole character from the podcast. That's the guy that I play is the random movie connections that nobody gets.
Anybody seen that season 7?
Paul Blart Mall Cop. You need a fat agile guy.
Yeah.
The on the lawn. I mean, the battle with the Glee Club is great.
Mm-hmm.
From Troy getting shot after he and Shirley are talking.
I do want to ask y'all. This is part of my extra credit that I didn't write down. But what is the best gunfight in this episode?
I was going to ask that too.
Ooh.
Best like shootout duel of this episode.
Because let's see. So you've got the fight with the shoot the chess club.
Well, so you've got Leonard and Abed.
Yes. Right? You suck. So you've got that. You've got chess club. You've got
Glee Club.
the standoff in the bathroom.
Oh, right.
But you could say that the Glee Club, Disco Stu and his little like raiders, and then Chang and Pearson, or no, Britta and Jeff.
I mean, I don't know if this really there's an obvious answer, and I think it's the Chang scene because it's such a iconic scene. I think, but in terms of actual gunfights, I think it's
pretty anticlimactic.
It's honestly the Glee scene, just because that's the one that actually has a really gunfight.
Yeah,
it's the Glee one. Although I guess the skating scene has a gunfight too.
Yeah,
those are the two like most action-packed ones. But for me, in terms of iconic scenes and most memorable and like enjoyable to watch, it's the Chang one.
That's fair. I think cinematically it is for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys agree? Or
I would rank it. I'd rank it Chang, Glee Club, disco scene. I wish. See, I don't like the disco one because it's only like it's not the Greendale 7. It's just the 4 that are left,
mm-hmm.
and it makes me kind of like sad. Like, oh, I wish Troy and Annie and I guess Pierce were here too. And I wish the fight with the Glee Club was less of a sniper match and more of like an actual just like
that's fair
because it's called. I mean, the episode is Modern Warfare and Call of Duty was a huge trend, so you could be like, all right, I got 4 of them. Send in the mini nuke. And it's just like a bucket of paint. You know? You have. Like that would have been funny, and it also would have been a little more fun to watch. But I mean, I don't know with the Chang scene. Is that a reference to like a Yakuza movie, or is that just like a? I mean, he's that douchebag who brings in his own stuff 3 times a week. He even admits it. But
well, I mean, so we're on that topic, so I think this seems like a good place to just talk about that scene and the brilliance of Chang coming in there. I mean, he comes in the room. Right, there's this music, which is I looked it up. It's like this Chinese poem, like war song or something, war poem with sets of music. He's got this outfit on, which is like a hitman outfit. That's how I look at it, or like a mob boss outfit or something. There's the slow motion, him coming in. He's got the toothpick in his mouth. He's got the gun wrapped with like a tiger like paint scheme. Yeah. It's like which LT Great, you know. And
I didn't think about that. Yeah, it's like a tiger skin. That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then of course him like there's the battle. Him and Britta, shooting each other, the paintballs in midair, which is great shooting, great cinematography. And then him sprawled out after he gets shot and like the dying villain laugh. And he, then he reveals like, not only is there no priority registration, but he also has a bomb. Double whammy, And I watched this episode. I watched it twice for this rewatch. It's the only episode that I've watched twice so far up to this point that we've done. I've watched all the other ones just once. This one I had to watch twice just because it's so great and it's my favorite episode of the whole show. That scene, I think, to me, it's one of the like, if not top 5 most iconic, like cinematic TV or movie scene to me in terms of like, it's just the way it's shot.
You'd put it up there with the Omaha Beach scene in Saving Private Ryan.
I said top 5. I didn't say best.
Oh.
But yes, I said it's in the top 5.
It's a little leeway,
It's a little leeway, yeah.
In terms of like shoot, I mean, not in terms of like
plot or
even like importance, but just in how it's shot, the flow of the scene,
the drama of it,
of it, and there's really not a lot of talk. I mean, there is some dialogue in there with Britta and Jeff and Chang talking.
See, my only critique, like maybe it's not my only critique, but it does feel like it's pretty anticlimactic in terms of like, okay, he comes in, he shoots at them, and then they find out that priority registration is not real, and then Britta shoots him, and like they shoot each other. I guess like it's not really a battle. Like and again, you only have 23 minutes in the second episode. So like I get that they can't do it, and I guess like that's just the critique that I have. Like it is a good scene. I just wish that there was more action-y stuff.
Well, so there could be more action. So I'm guessing the point, because this is like one question I kind of had about this, and maybe you guys didn't think about it.
Why does Britta sacrifice herself?
No, what is the Dean's plan to just end the game by having Chang go in there and just finish them off so that
because he said that classes are in the next day.
Right, okay.
Which, if Jeff only slept for an hour, how did that much get destroyed in 1 hour? Like, Troy has already found shoulder pads and he's already flipped over the desks and everything. They have a hiding spot. Like, I know that's the whole like point of the drama and the ridiculousness of the situation, but I think that's kind of what the point is like, people still have to go to class the next day. But did you ever in elementary school have like like a fun day where you had like a Valentine's Day party or anything like that? I only enjoyed myself if it was on a Friday, because then I could just go straight home from that. Like I didn't want to have to come back.
Oh, for sure. It's
if the party was on a Tuesday and I had to come back on Wednesday, like, well, now I can't enjoy this because I can see you guys tomorrow and it's gonna be a normal day. I feel like that's kind of how I would like. Why would the dean have the spring fling? Why would the dean have the spring fling on a school day? Like, do it on the weekends so that way everybody.
But then you realize that that is a good point. But as when you go to college and you realize that like scheduling events on Fridays is a horrible idea. Because people either go home or they go to the bars.
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
like he's not going to get anybody to come to it if it's on a Friday.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. Guys, got anything else for best scenes? I mean, we could talk about like literally every scene,
every
piece
shot
of dialogue. I don't want to go too far into it. I think we're pretty, I think, said, and like this is obviously one of the best episodes. I think that's all I know doubting that. Even if you don't think it's your favorite.
We should do a Skip and Shannon. Like, you know what? I think that this is the worst episode in Community. Dak Prescott was signed to a four-year.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going
to. Britta was the better paintball fighter.
Yeah.
She should have won.
Skip.
She's smarter.
Yeah. See, that is the thing. Like, okay, was her sacrificing herself to Jeff a result of them like not having tension, or was it a result of her being a kind person, or was it just to advance the plot?
Yeah.
Like she's like, you got the chop on me. You won. Let me do this for you.
I want to say it's because she's trying to be a nice person, but I think it's just to advance the plot.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of a hint of that because they just had that conversation about they're both kind of realizing that the other person's probably nicer. They think the other person's kinder, really. And
I'm going to admit it. I think the Jeff Britta plot in this is the worst part of the episode. Like it's kind of like you said, like, it's the Derek Carr of the AFC West. Like it's the worst part of the best episode, right?
Thing, yeah.
But like there are like 2 or 3 different okay, so there's the Greendale 7 get mad at Jeff and Britta in the study room for arguing, and then they want to shoot them in the bathroom, and then Abed and Shirley want to shoot them over the campfire. Like I wish that they would have, and that would be like the lesson that they learned. But obviously, it's they just bang and get it out of their system. Like it would have been better. Well, maybe not for me. I would have enjoyed it more if they resolved it. It's just kind of frustrating to see that. Like,
they have because it has to set up for the finale,
right?
To having that. Okay, they slept together. Now there's real stakes in the relationship.
That's true.
Which is kind of odd that they would throw that into this episode,
right? Why didn't they do it in the Jeff Winger? I am calling you. I mean,
and that could be. Because this episode is such a high-profile episode,
that they want to put something long-term, like a long-term storytelling into that episode.
Yeah, it's a show that has importance, and it's not just like a standalone thing.
That's fair.
And at that point, like since Jeff was still with Slater, they can't make like their lead a cheater because like that turns everybody like it's, yeah.
Also, I'll ask us now, like where's Britta or where's Slater in this?
I really don't care.
Like they definitely could have had a lot of like they could have shown Slater,
Duncan.
They could have shown Vaughn, they could have shown Duncan.
Well, but the professors,
paintball.
the professors don't play it though. It's just the students.
But they had to go somewhere.
Well, I mean, where are any of them during Spanish class, or where are any of them during the food fight?
They're in their own classes. But this is like literally the whole campus is involved. I mean, the dean and Chang are holed up in the dean's office,
right?
Yeah.
So this is obviously either that all the teachers ran to their cars and went home, or they're hiding in their offices somewhere. But like even that, like where's Vaughn? Like, why isn't he playing? Which I could see that being like a whole joke of like, oh, I'm too peaceful to play, bro.
And then you just get shot. Yeah.
I don't know.
See you later. Bye.
Bye. See you later.
Sayonara.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
What you got for leading the class? Unless you guys have anything else for A+. We're kind of overlapping and bleeding into categories here too, so I don't know if we really need to worry about structure.
I said Pierce. I don't know. I feel I think the plot of you guys formed an alliance without me, like that really comes back in the next paintball episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, he shoots Starburns with like, not if I can join an alliance with you guys. It's just Starburns. I don't know. Again,
hey,
like,
Pierce, don't come over here.
Screw you! I'm coming over there. And then he said, "Medic! Medic!" Like, how would that work in paintball to have a medic? Would they like scrub it off? Like, is there like a time limit?
Yeah.
See, I remember. Okay, so for my 13th birthday, I got a really nice Super Soaker water gun. And looking back, that was kind of a waste of a wish for my genie. But so we had like a water gun fight for my birthday party, and I like created rules for this game of like, you have teams. Each team has like a fire squad leader. Each team has a medic with a Sharpie. And so every time you get shot, you have to find the medic. The medic can like draw a little tally on your arms. You can only get healed like 3 or 4 times. And Mom was like, Christian, you guys are 13. Nobody's going to listen to your rules. I'm like, shut up, Mom. But you're right. And like,
dumb.
You dumb. And I was like, I mean, looking at it, she was right. But like making rules, again, like you can have a reconnaissance plane after you shot 3 people or, nuclear inbound, just to be advised, your teammate died. But yeah.
We're getting killed, you guys.
Getting killed.
No, I was thinking about like just the nature of this episode too, where it's like, I love the tension of like the paintball idea that like you can only get paint on you once, you only get shot once, like, and like I loved like the stakes of that, because it's like, oh, did I get paint on me? Like,
no, I'm just bleeding.
Yeah. Oh, thank God.
Talk about luck.
Yeah, it's all luck. Yeah. I'm trying to think, but yeah, I love the principle of that. They're like, you can only get paint on you once, then you're done.
Yeah.
And like, and it's also too like cool that like it feels very college. That like everyone honors the rule. Like everyone's not like someone got paint on them, but they still shoot. Like, no, it's like I was like,
I would have felt it if you got me. You didn't get me. So
exactly.
out.
Like Leonard just gets shot and he's like, you suck, and then he just walks away.
Exactly. Like that's very
it.
much
yeah.
Like adults actually like doing this, but going all out. Like yeah. So.
Or like the skater guy like walking out with Abed and Shirley waves, too.
Yeah.
Like, he's fine. Like he's not mad. He's ready to go home and watch ER or whatever. It's like
yeah. But you're right though. In the middle of the episode, I was kind of ready for Jeff and Britta to get shot. Now I think like if Jeff didn't win and Britta, I guess Jeff and Britta weren't the last 2 people, who would you want to see win? Shirley. Yeah.
I think it would have been, and obviously there's other paintball episodes. It would have been funny to see Pierce win somehow.
Yeah.
And then like they had to deal with like, Pierce has power a little bit.
Yeah. And you can hold that over him for a whole year, for a whole season.
Oh, that's yeah.
And then the next season, Pierce has to face either saving his group or not. So you could still have the whole dialogue of, maybe we're going to kick Pierce out of the group because he's like, man, Pierce, you left us all to die. And at the paintball, yeah, that's interesting to see Pierce win it.
Especially like if he did something that like cheated or like just like hiding out somewhere.
He's wearing a sweater, so he just takes the sweater off. Like, oh, did you see? There's no paint on my shirt, so I win.
Yeah.
Which I guess you get that with the City College.
Yeah,
he's kind of the victor of that or the hero. But
right,
yeah,
give it all to Greendale.
Yeah. For leading the class, for me, I had Chang. Again, not in the episode a lot, but it like we kind of talked about it a little bit, and this is. I guess I'll bleed into like one of my nitpicks or whatever, or marked in red. Like I wish there was a little more of like a through line about priority registration. Like is that like a chancellor of colleges or whatever? Like somebody above a dean that's like, you can't do this. Like, what are you thinking? And like Dean Felton's like, sir, I understand that you like, just having the like.
But I have 100 students running around campus, thinking that they're in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
third time referencing it. But yeah, and you could have like Tom Hanks as the chancellor, of the college.
Exactly. Yeah. So I like. For me, but yeah, he like questions the whole like priority registration thing, which like I remember when I like first watched this episode, I was like, wait, they can't even get the prize? Like, what's gonna happen?
This
like,
is bull.
Yeah. But yeah, but I think he really adds to the ending of this episode so much, like when he walks into that room and he just starts spraying.
Critical movie theory and gender politics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he pulls out the golden.
Golden Eagles. The dean being like, Jeffrey, just a minute. Like that's ugh. Yeah, they really lean into his, I don't know, his crush on Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, that's great acting in that scene.
it is. It is. It's just,
what do you want? What can I do for you? He's like,
yeah.
it's just great acting by.
Did you get it all out of your system?
Yeah.
Almost. Get shot in the head.
Which that would hurt too.
Oh yeah.
Like he's bald, no hair. Yeah. No, I definitely agree on like I kind of wish that there would have been a scene like in the middle of the episode where you see the Dean and Chang, like maybe Chang's already left, or I guess it would have to be before Chang left because he knows about party registration. Or like the Dean gets a phone call and you don't hear the other person. It's just like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it's like, so you kind of like get that hint of like, oh, this isn't actually for real, but we don't know for sure. Cause yeah, it's just basically Chang walks in and is like, yeah, this is fake. You can't get party registration. I guess there's the line from the Dean, but I don't know. I mean, it's not a huge deal. The episode still works the way it is, but
what if, so you asked us, you know, the original question was who would win if not for Jeff and Britta. I say I'm going to change my answer to Abed only because you know that he would have accepted the DVD player.
Yeah.
And it could be it could be a real, I mean, honestly, it'd be a pretty nihilistic outcome. You're like, so you're saying this whole time, Dean, that this battle resulted in like a $20 DVD player I could get from Best Buy.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, I don't know what the big deal is. Like I can go watch, you know, the Hunger Games. Kickpuncher 3, right? Yeah.
No, I love that. See, like, if Abed would have won, like, there's like thinking of like alternate versions of this episode. This would have been like a parody on a parody. But
what
like,
if
they did like a
Abed won?
Yeah, if like the ending was like you know, like a Willy Wonka style ending where it's like you've got it, like, and now like they can like fly away, and you know, or it's like something like that where it's like they.
Well, since the show is kind of quote unquote supposedly from Abed's perspective too, that'd be interesting to have that if he wins, and then like this whole time. Maybe the paintball battle wasn't really as dramatic as we thought it was, but Abed dreamed, you know, in its head it seemed more dramatic. It was like a war movie.
For sure.
Yeah. But the fact that it was this insane, I think, just adds to that it's awesome that they're literally like they were shooting each other over a DVD player.
Yeah.
For party registration, I guess. But
any extra credit stuff?
Hang on. I haven't said my really eating glass yet. Sorry. I don't want to be that guy, but I got to give it to Jeff and Britta.
Boo.
Good one answer. Boo. I mean,
get out of here, bro.
I don't think you can give one without the other though, because they both are kind of intertwined in like the main plot of this. Well, not main plot, but part of really the only drama of this, besides the whole fact that it's a game. Like the only emotional drama is that there's sexual tension between them.
Yeah.
And are they going to have sex or are they not going to have sex? Like it kind of starts to hint to like the study group is either going to like collapse if they don't just do it and get it out of the system, or like something's going to happen. And we do have that where they do finally sleep together. And then there's like that mutual respect afterwards where it's like, oh, I only make fun of you for being, I'm fake because I don't people. What does Britta say? She says I'm a phony because
I'm afraid because if I don't, it was something along the lines of like, because if I don't try to be nice to people, I'm afraid that I'm not a really good person or something like that.
And then Jeff's like, oh, I only make fun of you because I'm afraid people are actually gonna see me for who I am, or I feel bad about myself. Basically, essentially, is like they both think the other person's, you know, they're opening up about their insecurities about themselves.
There's a pretty deep, like, personal journey that you have to go on to kind of get to that point. Because I feel like that practically, but also just personality wise, like in the Lighthouse, like the person who led worship for a couple of years. I guess it was the year after you graduated, but it would really bother me because she would always have this like really like molasses sweet personality and like never had any complaints or anything at all. And rather than like
during band practice, she was a tyrant. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, exactly. And it's like I'm jealous. Like I don't want my life to get better. I want her life to get worse. You know, like I want you to suffer.
Yeah,
which is terrible. And I had to like own up to that, because it almost isn't fair that like, oh well, Britta is just a good person, and I'm going to call her out as somebody fake rather than me actually trying to be a better person.
Yeah,
like, and that's the journey that he goes on is like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Shirley, and like that's his little redemption arc, but that draws out, you know, the part of you that is, you know, what have I really hated in the past Or it's kind of like, you see like the Olympics every 4 years and you feel really bad about yourself because you can't do what they do. It's like, well, you have two choices. One of them is to either, try harder and like, go to the gym regularly and have the dedication, or you can just be like, oh yeah, well, but you can't get late. Like, you know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying that like with the Olympic thing, you're saying like either like make the choice of like what you're complaining about and like actually change it,
right,
or like kind of sit back and accept the fact that like these people can't, or no, you're saying like the negative side of it, or like
the negative side. So for Jeff, it's I could work on myself and try to be a more genuinely caring person, or I can do the easy thing and just blame Britta and accuse her of being fake. Like I could put in the work and be a somewhat competent archer, or curler or runner or whatever, but that takes a lot of work. So maybe I'll just make fun of these guys, like, oh, the professional beer drinking team for the United States. Like,
Gotcha. That's good. No, like the whole Britta thing too, I thought it was interesting in the sense of like, because like I wouldn't I don't consider myself a good person at all, but like I like to think like I strive to do like positive to the people around me, and in a sense like that's kind of phony because like I'm not a good person, or I don't think I am, but like what else am I supposed to do? Like, you know what I mean? Like completely live out like all of myself, but that's not a good, that's just like, that's just a destructive person. Like that, you know what I mean? That's not a person doing this podcast, you know what I mean? But all right. Any extra credit things, or any extra credit anybody want to mention?
I think it's worth mentioning that this is the highest rated episode on IMDb, along with Remedial Chaos Theory.
Which one is that?
That's the alternate timeline.
Oh,
episode.
Makes sense.
Those are definitely the two that like transcend the show to like even non like diehard fans. It's just like it's evolved community into like modern pop culture. Those episodes, so fitting. Excuse me, Remy. I'm trying to look at my laptop here, and you're typing stuff.
Let's shove them off.
Jeff's tank top gets dirtier as the episode progresses. This is obviously a reference to John McClane,
obviously,
in Die Hard, who he wears a white tank top and it gets dirtier.
Wife beater or tank top? Sorry,
this is 2022, sir.
Somebody said
spouse beater.
What'd you say?
A spouse beater.
A partner beater.
And it's spelled beets, BEET.
Yeah,
it's like you provide vegetables for your spouse, and you grow. That's what you wear whenever you go pick the beets out of your garden. That's what I meant. When you guys, I don't know if
exactly. Come on,
get out of here.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Cheetar.
This episode is directed by Justin Lin, not the Russo brothers. That's the other one. The next episode for Paintball, but Justin Lin also directed the intro to Statistics, which is the first Halloween episode from this season, and then Interpretive Dance, two other pretty solid ones. Those are the only ones he did for Community, but he's done some other stuff as well. Directed and produced some Fast and Furious movies. He was involved with the new Space Jam movie, which is awful.
Yes.
LeBron needs to.
He's your problem now, dum-dums.
Dude,
he needs to shut up, like not act.
Well, that's the funny thing about the whole the new Space Jam. Like the first Space Jam wasn't a good movie. Like it was. Obviously, it was like a classic and all that. Like,
but it wasn't a good movie.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. So I don't know how. It's literally.
It was just
LeBron's
Warner Brothers
ego trying to like make him like that's.
It's Warner Brothers
trying to make him likable.
Exactly. We'll return to the sports podcast real fast. The problem is that like LeBron is like it's basically screaming at people. I'm the GOAT. I'm the greatest. I mean, like, dude, like it's ugly. It repels people from like. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying they didn't want to CGI Kobe Bryant into the film though. Wouldn't have been one of the best. I was thinking it was the same thing with Warner Brothers though. Like they were so mad that Disney owns Marvel and the MCU, and it's like, look at all these people that we own that we can put in our movie. We're gonna have them, as a kind of masturbatory, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And then like now they're gonna make their own fighting game like Smash Brothers. They're gonna have Batman and Shaggy and all them. So
honestly, Disney should do that.
They do.
A Smash Brothers?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Disney?
Closest thing they have is like Kingdom Hearts, but like
that's not a fighting game. Yeah. Can you imagine like a Disney fighting game? You get like Buzz Lightyear like
versus Iron Man,
like to infinity,
like shooting like Cinderella or something.
We're talking about Tim Allen Buzz Lightyear or Chris Evans Buzz Lightyear?
No, definitely Tim Allen, the real Buzz Lightyear.
Exactly,
or the real fake Buzz Lightyear.
The real Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah,
Buzz Lightyear. Not a flying toy.
I would say honestly, like the Smash Bros. Like style. I mean, yeah, every like
power ups,
like Disney, like they should all do something.
A Disney one would be awesome.
Darth Vader.
It would print money.
Yeah.
Oh, they would print money or something. And you could get the Marvel, Star Wars,
just everything that was
all your classic. Like you could have like the Seven Dwarves, like some
exactly.
power up for them.
Snow White.
Like throwing apples at people.
Yeah. I mean, brilliant.
Everything that is in Ralph Breaks the Internet gets to be in the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah, essentially.
Which Ralph Breaks the Internet was the Space Jam 2 of the.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
You're saying, I'll take it.
I haven't even seen the movie. I just know that would,
that's I've seen it. That's 100% true.
That's 1,000%. Yeah.
Are there any nitpicks for this episode?
Well, we already kind of talked through it.
Are there any closing thoughts? I mean,
so like, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and along with a show that had like 300 episodes or whatever, they also made like 13 movies that like were canon in the midst of like the show. And this reminds me of like one of those movies that like runs alongside of the
1994, a kid named Andy saw a movie. This was that movie.
Yeah. But like that's how this episode feels. Like we talked about how cinematic it is, like the drama of it, the way it's shot. And like it feels like a movie. It feels like a little community movie that like belongs within the show, and it's canon and it's there. But yeah, so for me, 9 out of 10 episodes, like 9 out of 10, closer to a 10 than an 8 for sure. Just nailed it. It was phenomenal, very, very enjoyable, very easy rewatch. Yeah, this is the kind of episode that we do this rewatch for.
Yeah. I mean, I think you talk Call of Duty. I mean, this is a Modern Warfare 2 out of Modern Warfare 3. Nice. Which I liked Modern Warfare 3, but it's kind of like the weaker installment of them. So yeah, this gets the the Raising Cane's equivalent of Modern Warfare 2.
Any other thoughts? I mean,
I've just again we've talked several times on the podcast about how the show takes a pretty ridiculous set of circumstances and turns it into something dramatic and something that's fun to watch. And we've already talked about how everybody gives it their all the performances are outstanding. I think it opens a lot of possibilities. I always joke about how I was a Chiefs fan at 2-14, and so now I'm always kind of worried about when it's going to go back to that, and we're going to stop being a Super Bowl contender team. And so I feel that anxiety a lot with like TV shows or movies that I watch too. Is like, when is it going to stop being good? Like these type of episodes, you have Paintball 2, Silver Balls, Paintball. You have Floor's Lava, the Civil War. Like you have all these sort of like theme episodes. And I don't think the show ever gets to the point. It's like, okay, well, this is, they're just trying to capture lightning in a bottle twice, and it's not working. So I think that this episode proves that the showrunners could do it, and then it gave us a lot of extra episodes like that, or like Law and Order, or exactly. So that's why I appreciate this episode.
Yeah, this is my favorite episode of the whole series. I mean, it's 11 out of 10. Probably the only episode I'll give an 11 out of 10 to. Great acting. We talked a lot about the cinematography, and I'm not like a film buff by any means. I'm not going to pretend to be like, oh, I think Citizen Kane is the best movie of all time. But I just feel like this is, for a TV show from 2010, was it 2010, 2011? Yeah. We established great. Like they didn't have to go this hard on the episode. Like they could have just done the action scenes, and like the plot itself works. But the fact that it's shot so much better than like a lot of modern movies, I feel like, the scenes are just like the way they're shot, the way they're set up, and the way they flow. The action scenes, I mean, the little whole thing is just nonstop drama. Basically, as soon as you see Jeff get out of his car until Jeff goes into the dean's office at the end, there's just like 20 minutes of just back to back to back. It just flows so well. There's so much action and drama and suspense. And the stakes are, like within the show, the stakes really aren't that high. Like it's just for priority registration, but like at the same time, you feel like the stakes are so high, and that's just, I think, speaks to the brilliance of Dane Harmon, which we've talked about before.
And like even calling it priority registration, like it just sounds so much. It sounds super official. Like it sounds like priority. Like what I mean. Like it sounds like this very, it's like a Lethal Weapon 2 diplomatic immunity. Like it's the same. Like
what does that actually mean?
Yeah,
and like they really don't explain all that much about it. Like there's that conversation with Jeff and Troy,
you could schedule all your classes out on Monday and have a 6-day weekend. You could do a lot of things with that.
Yeah.
And like that's the last they really talk about it until the end. So like it's kind of just like this
pie
in the sky
MacGuffin
thing. Yeah, it's the MacGuffin. Yep, exactly. So great episode. I don't know what else to say about it. It's my favorite episode and definitely like the most rewatchable one for me.
The real priority registration was the friends we made along the way. Felt.